keep it 100 because it's time for Hub's Huddle Podcast. Listen to the man that talks sports from football to basketball 24/7, 365. He is known as the average Joe that knows more than average about sports.
What's up, man?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Hub.
What's up, everybody? It's Monday morning, January 7th, 2019. Oh, man, we just getting off Wildcard Weekend, man, with the recap. You know, hey, we're on to the divisional round, starting this Saturday, January 12th. And, man, it was some good games this weekend, man. Just to get into it, the first game was a beatdown between Indianapolis and Houston. Man, I had picked Houston to win. I thought, you know, they were the better team coming in. But, man, them dudes was just too banged up, man. And then they started dropping like flies during the game. And more props to Andrew Luck, man. Yeah, ever since he came back from that shoulder injury, man, he's been improving every week. And also, man, Marlon Mack ran the ball well, and you know this Indianapolis Colts defense has been playing pretty well too. So it looked like it's gonna be a tough matchup for the Chiefs, you know, next weekend. Hey man, anything can happen, man, in the playoffs. And then you had the Saturday night game with the Dallas Cowboys against the Seattle Seahawks. You know, the Cowboys came away with that one. Big performance from Dak and Zeke. You know, like that Dallas front seven limited Seattle's run game, and I said that was going to be one of the keys to victory, and also getting Zeke involved and Dak being, you know, it came up big at the end. You know, I was watching the game with my brother. He's a big Cowboys fan, and you know, screaming at TV at Dak and wanting him to take off and run. You know, Dak ain't start, you know, moving with his legs until towards the end of the game. And it really came through for him. Like that last drive, and he did like a cartwheel, and he landed on like the one that was like, you know, the absolute, you know, play of the game, because that, you know, ultimately led them to, you know, victory right there. And then we had the Sunday games with the Chargers and the Ravens. You know, Chargers shocked me, man. They you know, they beat the Ravens. The Ravens, man, they should have went with Joe Flacco in the second half. You know, Lamar Jackson just wasn't getting it done. And when you're limited on the offensive end, like, you know, he's still a phenomenal talent. You know, but when you're limited, you know, to a certain, you know, things that you can do, you know, physically, like with your arm, you know, you rely so heavily on your legs, you know, the Chargers, you know, they stacked the box, and they just said, listen, you know, in order for you to get the job done, you got to pass on us. You know, man, they should have went with Joe Flacco, you know, going into, you know, the third quarter. But they stuck with Jackson throughout. I mean, it was even times when you looked on the sideline and Joe Flacco had his helmet on. He was standing up on the sidelines waiting to get in. They never put him in. I mean, that's just terrible for the Ravens, man. You put that on, you know, the coaching right there for still sticking with Lamar Jackson. I know, you know, this is going to be his team going forward, but, you know, you got to kind of look at this, man. And it's starting to, you know, the league is starting to revert back to, you know, looking at getting the actual pocket passer more so than these guys that, you know, these guys that's really mobile. I mean, you look at Deshaun Watson. It's the same thing that happened to him on Saturday. You know, they really bottled him up and he really couldn't get things done. Meanwhile, these guys that's pocket and can move a little bit, like Andrew Luck, you know, he got off on Saturday. Then you look at yesterday with Phillip Rivers, you know, he had a big game too. And then you look at Philly, you know, Nick Foles versus Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky can move a little bit, you know, with his legs. But, you know, like Nick Foles, you know, hey, he's still poised in the pocket. He likes to take shots down the field. I know that game was, you know, low scoring, 16-15 game, but that was basically like a defensive matchup right there. That was a good game in that late slate, man. And Cody Parkey, man, listen, man, that ball was tipped, so you can't really put everything on him for missing that field goal. But, you know, a lot of Philly fans that I was talking to during the game, they were like, at that moment before the field goal, oh, our season is over. I said, listen, y'all got rid of Cody Parkey for a reason, man. In big-time situations, this dude tends to miss the big kicks. And that's what happened. I mean, regardless, it did get a tip, but, you know, hey, man, it still was a miss. But, you know, so looking forward to the divisional round. It's going to be some good games, man. I think you're going to have New England, taking on the Chargers on Sunday up in Foxborough. That's going to be a good game. Brady versus Rivers. Again, these guys haven't matched up in the playoffs since 2007. I believe that's the year that that Rivers played on a torn ACL. And you're going to have the late game on Sunday is Philly against the Saints in a rematch from a few weeks ago. Of course, it's going to be different. I don't think this is going to be a blowout like how it was the last time. I think that, it's going to be more close. And I think, Philly rolling with Nick Foles, it gives them a better chance of winning, more so than they did with Carson Wentz. I'm going to speak on that in a minute. But you got the Saturday games. You got the Cowboys taking on the Rams, a very favorable matchup for them, taking on the Rams in L.A. And also you're going to have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. I think, be honest with you, I think, both of those road teams that's playing on Saturday, they got a pretty good chance of winning their games. I'm not ready to make my picks yet, but if you look at the way Indianapolis is playing with Andrew Luck, being able to move in the pocket, throw the ball, then they got Marlon Mack can run the ball, and the Chiefs' defense have been very suspect against the run this year. So it's going to be a tough matchup for the Chiefs. They really going to lean on that crowd, and they're going to have to start fast and get going. I mean, if the Colts can ground them with that defense that they've been playing as of late, they've been playing very solid on defense. It's a very well winnable game for the Colts, man. I mean, hey, anything can happen, man. We're in a divisional round, man. It's still, hey, whoever gets hot is going to end up in the Super Bowl and winning. As far as the Cowboys and the Rams, like I said, I'm not ready to make my picks, but just to think about that going into it, Jared Goff really hasn't been the same guy since, Cooper Kupp went down. And, as far as like the Cowboys situation, their front seven going up against Todd Gurley, it's a very good match. I mean, the Cowboys got, one of the best run defenses in the league. So, Todd Gurley's going to have his hands, cut out for him. Same thing with, like the Rams defense going up against, Dak Prescott putting the pressure on him with Aaron Donald. That's still going to be a struggle. They still got to continue to feed Zeke and continue to have that offense go through Zeke. I don't see them having any real big problems with, like the Rams defense in comparison with the Rams offense got to deal with the Cowboys defense as far as like the run game. I think Zeke will still be able to get the job done, but they just got to continue to feed him. And then moving on to Sunday's games, you got like New England and the Chargers. It's going to be a good game. I mean, people sleeping on New England's secondary. I think they're going to come up big for them again. I'm not ready to make a pick, but as far as like the Chargers, well, they play good on defense, so that's going to be a test for Tom Brady. So it's going to be very important for him to continue to distribute the ball equally among his receivers and get guys involved. That's the only way New England's going to move on into the next round. Move on to the AFC Championship game. If, they continue to spread the ball out on offense and run the ball effectively. They can't just single out one player and give, Julian Edelman, like 10 targets and go to Gronk 10 targets. Tom Brady has to spread the ball out for them to win. That is going to be their key to victory, But as far as the Chargers go, Phillip Rivers, he's playing lights out, phenomenal, and that defense is good as well. So it's going to be a good matchup, for the Sunday afternoon game. And then you got the late game on Sunday with the Eagles and the Saints. My concern is this. I mean, it's going to be rough to win in New Orleans, but I think, Nick Foles give Philadelphia the better chance. I think, you got to look at it like this. Carson Wentz left, the Eagles wasn't even, in like playoff. It wasn't It wasn't going to make the playoffs. Nick Foles comes in and rejuvenates this team, and now look at them. They beat Chicago yesterday. It was a good game, and now they're moving on to New Orleans. And anything can happen, man. It's going to be rough to win in New Orleans. They got that dynamic attack rushing with Kamara and Ingram, and also you got to look at the passing game with Drew Brees. But, this Philly defense has been playing different, and it's a different Philly team in general since the one that played New Orleans a few weeks ago. And, I look at some of the psychological stuff that's in this. You got like the Saints players still jabbing at the Eagles, talking about they the ones that started the ski mask stuff. I mean, come on, guys, just be quiet and just play football. It's a lot that's going to go on there. You never know what's going to happen. So, it's going to be some good games next weekend. Great matchups. I spoke a lot yesterday on Facebook on my actual page, but I just talked more about like a recap and just I spoke on the Nick Foles Carson Wentz situation with Philadelphia. Like I said, I think they're going to have their hands full. This coming off season, what they got to do. I mean, in my personal opinion, I feel like that Nick Foles is the better quarterback for Philadelphia. Carson Wentz may be the better quarterback between the two, but I think Nick Foles is the better quarterback for Philadelphia. I just think that he runs that offense, more calm and, and everything, like the energy that he brings in, he gets more guys involved. Like you see Alshon Jeffrey now getting love, and now you definitely see like Golden Tate coming through now. But before it was like they couldn't work him into the offense. And certain things you got to think about, when you look at the game. And, and I want to address something that happened in that game as well between the Eagles and the Bears. It was a catch fumble that, basically they called it as like, I guess it was incomplete because nobody recovered the ball. And they try to make up for it and said somewhere deep down in like the rule book, there is a rule about that. Honestly, I doubt it. I think that happened and they didn't know what to do because nobody decided to cover up the ball. And I'm talking to Eagles fans and they were like, well, and I said, well, your guys in the secondary, after the ball came loose, they got up and started celebrating. Like nobody thought about covering the ball. The receiver from Chicago, he started walking back to the huddle. Like nobody thought about, I'm gonna come over here and cover the ball. And the guy from Chicago should have been his awareness that he should have known that, hey, I got 3 feet down. I had 3 feet. 1, 2, 3. The ball came out as I'm down. He should have got up and just picked up the ball and ran in the end zone, or he should have got up and just fell on the ball. Same thing with the Eagles. Like, you see the ball, out, you're supposed to cover it up. And I'm telling people, I'm like, if this was New England, this was their defense, one of them guys would have covered the ball because, Belichick would have challenged that. And, whether he'd have won it or not, but he would have challenged it because, one, the guy had 3 feet down, and then when you see a loose ball, you're supposed to cover it up. That's just football 101. These guys were celebrating. I'm sitting there like, somebody need to cover that football, but then the ref picked it up. And it wasn't like the ref hurried up to pick the ball. He let it sit there for a minute, and then he just picked it up like, bruh, one of y'all should have covered the ball. But I think the NFL rules, they're going to change again, based off of that. So it's going to be another rule in place. But, hey, it is what it is. But it was, exciting football this weekend. Really enjoyed it. So looking forward to, divisional round. It's going to be awesome as well. I got 4 games. And then, after this weekend coming, it's going to be Championship Sunday. So, hey, man, it's a lot. It's a lot to play for, a lot on the line. There's no real team that showed, hey, we're the dominant team in the NFL right now. Everything is still, up for grabs, but that's it for me, guys. Just wanted to recap Wildcard Weekend for you all. My thoughts on everything. Let me talk about this for a minute. The Jerry Jones comments about him cheering for Philly. Eagles fans, yeah, he's even cheering for us. It's the reason why, fellas. Like, the Cowboys going to L.A. is a better matchup for the Cowboys than the Cowboys going to New Orleans and dealing with the Saints. And plus, you got to look at that L.A. crowd. They are not like they don't have real fans in L.A. Like there's not that many Rams fans. Like Dallas Cowboys hold their training camp in California. There's going to be a lot of Cowboys fans in that stadium. It's like a neutral site, like even when you think about when Kansas City came to town, they played the Rams. Yeah, the Rams won, but it was a lot of Chiefs fans there. It was a lot of Packers fans there when the Packers came and played them. It was a lot of Philadelphia fans there when Philly came and played them. You know what I'm saying? Like fans travel to L.A., but the L.A. fans, they don't, buy up all the tickets to keep a limited number of fans out because it's been times when they played Philly and you can hear the Eagles chants in L.A. Like, that's not supposed to happen in somebody else's stadium. So that's the reason behind Jerry Jones wanting the Eagles to beat the Bears, because if the Bears would have won, the Bears would have went to L.A. and the Cowboys would have went to the Saints, which is not a good matchup at this time for the Dallas Cowboys. So that was the reason for that. And I predicted it that way. I thought, they was going to win. And I absolutely, in my mind, I think the Cowboys can beat the Rams in L.A. because of all the circumstances and how, you know, Jared Goff has been playing as of late and the team as a whole. But we're just going to see. I'll be back on Friday, guys, with my divisional round picks and breakdowns and the preview. So keep rocking with me, man. Keep sharing this. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. I don't have the videos up yet, but all my podcasts are loaded up on YouTube under Hubs Huddle. If you're on Instagram, follow me on Hubs Huddle. Twitter is just Hub. Facebook is Hubs Huddle. Like the page. Check me out. I'm on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Podcast. Basically, man, y'all could just Google me, man. You Google Hubs Huddle Podcast. I'm going to show up in a whole bunch of different spots where you can listen to and enjoy my podcast. Once again, I thank you all for listening. And also, I started off the year rocking, man. Over about like 150 downloads within the first couple days of 2019, so that's pretty good. I checked it out like last Thursday, and I was like, oh, I got like 150 downloads. Wow. And like the year just started, so that's pretty good, man. I appreciate you all, man. Keep rocking with me, keep listening. Share it, share with other sports fans, share it with your family, share it with your with your coworkers, everybody, man. So just keep rocking, keep supporting me, man. 2019 is going to be huge, in my opinion, for this podcast. This is the podcast of the people. I'm going to give you guys my sports, thoughts on everything. I'm always going to keep it real and give it to you guys 100 uncut. So until next time, man, peace and love on this glorious Monday morning. Y'all all have a blessed week, and I'll catch you guys on Friday for my divisional round picks. Until next time, this is Hub signing out. Peace.